Hey there, Paladins fans. I am Hi-Rez Cret on my Hi-Rise box, joined by Hi-Rez Vox. It's good to be here again for my second set of the day, our third.
Yes.
Your second, too.
Absolutely.
Matchpoint playing their first game, and I cannot wait to see the NA powerhouse, NA's first seed, up against Black Dragons.
First seed in terms of, in terms of grandeur as well. A lot of posturing going on
Sure.
social media. But before we get into the sets, before we get into the games, let's talk about what we can give back to you watching at home on Twitch. We have Twitch linking enabled for twitch.tv/PaladinsGame. All you have to do is go over and head to the URL hirezstudios.com/link, and you'll be able to link your Twitch account with your Hi-Rez account. This gives you the opportunity to get a chance at winning drops in game just by watching.
That's right, and you can use those drops to pick up the HRX digital loot pack, which has some pretty sweet gear in it. You can check out our limited time only HRX Fernando and Victor skins that come with MVP poses, our Convention 2017 Ying, which is exclusive to any conventions running throughout the entire year of 2017, and also pick up 3 sprays.
Which I love so much. It's that little post on the wall after you kill somebody saying, hey, I was here with Paladins Esports when it all began, but let's take a look back at the schedule, see what matches we've already come to, and what we're going to be facing for the rest of the day. As you said, Matchpoint versus Black Dragons is what's coming up next.
That's right, so we just watched a doubleheader from QG, who found a loss and a win. They're looking pretty good 1-1, and if they pick up their game later today against Matchpoint, they will have a great shot of going to the semifinals. Matchpoint looking to come in strong, and they've got the opportunity to go 3-0 in this group stage as long as they pick up this win against Black Dragons.
Oh, that would put them at a very strong advantage, get them going through the semi-finals very quickly. But Black Dragons, they've just played, as you said, versus Team QG. They were shut down in that set. They won't be going out without a fight. They've got all of that heart behind them, and as a result, they'll be giving this set their all.
That's right, so their best chance to make the semifinals is winning this game against Matchpoint and then their game later against D69. Otherwise, it's going to be a tie, 3-way, 1-2. That's going to be pretty tough. So Black Dragons have their backs against the wall like QG just did. And I think they could do it because Skullist was on fire and he needs to keep it going.
Absolutely, they had a lot of momentum behind them, but let's not beat around the bush anymore. Let's go and take a look at the map drafting coming up for this set of Matchpoint versus Black Dragons.
That's right, and so here we see Serpent Beach will be our first match. Ice Mines removed off the table. It will not be played in this set, and neither will Timbermill.
Now, Serpent Beach is what will be coming up. We saw Skullist perform fantastically as Eevee, if I'm not mistaken, previously with Matchpoint, Black Dragons versus QG. Not quite enough to pull their team through, but it seems to be a favorite map of Black Dragons here. Matchpoint, however, they're very well versed in it too, and they've been running a lot of Ruckus here as well.
We did see Ruckus being very important in the previous sets, able to deal a lot of damage while holding down the front line. He's definitely been a strong pick in this tournament so far. Granted, we're only in two games in, but I think Ruckus is going to be a trend as we continue through this tournament. But Serpent Beach, I love starting on this map because it's so balanced, right? If you have a specific play style, if you're a sniper or a flanker or a close range damage dealer, there is a space for you in this map.
A little bit of somebody for, or a little position, a little something for everybody. And not just that, there are some environmental hazards around the sundial area of this map, which is a route quite, it's infrequently visited by a lot of champions just because I don't want to go too close to the edge. But if you're a Cassie hanging around there, or a Bomb King or a Makoa, it is exactly where you want to be.
Speaking of Cassie, let's check out the champion draft and see which way she's going to go. But the big question is Black Dragons, they have first pick. Do they grab Eevee here?
Well, it's going to be Makoa that has hovered over. I'd say that Eevee would be a good opener, but Matchpoint, they'll just lock in maybe a Makoa and Ruckus as well. So they're going to take that completely away from Matchpoint. And I love that the opening dynamic that Makoa gives Black Dragons. If they confirm a good Dredge Anchor, you really have the opportunity to capitalize on that and maybe make it a 5v4 in your favor versus one of the best teams in the world, at least according to their Twitter posts.
Cassie and Fernando are going to be drafted for Matchpoint, which to me says, hey, pick Eevee. We'll play against it. Now, maybe this is just, bravado, right? Maybe they're like, all right, we've seen your Eevee is good. We want to give you your best so he can play you at your best. That's sort of the feeling that I want to see out of match point, right? Because they're big names, they've got great players, and I think they want the most competitive match they can get.
Absolutely. So Eevee will be locked in by Black Dragons, likely going over to Skullist. Again, Charlene picked up as well, so banking on having almost sniper damage. Not quite Kinessa because Charlene is projectile-based, but a lot of long line of sight direct for Black Dragons. Match point, they're getting close to the end of this picking phase. They're going to lock in 2 more champions very quickly. Grover is hovered. Will we see it again? Ruckus is ready. It will be the Grover locked in for the 2nd game in a row, although going to a different team this time around.
Black Dragons have the remaining 2 picks, but I'm wondering about match point. Are they going to run big bodies like Black Dragon just did? It worked really well for the Eevee, and I can see it working even better for the Cassie, who's so mobile. But we're going to see Ying and Barrack picked up for Black Dragons. And honestly, this is a fairly standard composition. All 4 tanks are going to be played. Eevee for Skullist, Shaolin for Pings, and Ying is just a great healer. So really, it's on match point to spice things up a little. They've got the Grover, but maybe they're going to go extra caliente.
Well, I feel like they need some sort of AoE clear at this point. You've got Barrack and Ying, who are double deployables. That's going to hurt Grover a lot because they won't get that bonus damage from distance with their axe throw onto turrets and onto illusions. Drogoz is hovered, and Drogoz is locked in, rising again from the ashes of the most recent patch to be utilized with their Fire Spit for that AoE clear.
Drogoz the Greedy picked up by match point for the first time this tournament, and I think Greedy is perfect here. Stolze, you can see him hold up the NA flag representing the US of A. Match point, your North American first seed coming into the Paladins Invitational. And like I said earlier, man, I think they just want to size up Black Dragons. How good are they?
They want to test the waters, although Grover is a bit of a stylish pick going into that. I do have some inside info on the Grover, though. I've been hearing from a lot of teams behind the scenes that they're starting to look to run Grover a lot more than Ying right now, because when Cauterize comes online, it starts to get more difficult. That burst heal behind shields, when the effects of Cauterize have run out, can be a bit more valuable than a very slow sustained trickle versus Cauterize 3, but it's the Drogoz pick, which I think will make or break match point here. Will the AoE clear be enough versus double deployables, and will maybe the Makoa come into play and try and pull them out of the skies?
Yeah, no, Makoa doesn't really have the best targets to go for. Cassie's good, Drogoz is good, but I don't think he's got anyone he's super directly countering like he would with an Eevee. But we'll see as we head into the match. Black Dragons on the left side of your screen. Maldamba played by Flamzito. Skullist, Eevee for the 4th game in a row. Butter playing Barrack. Pings on that Shaolin, and Bizka on Makoa.
Their opponents, you know them, you love them. They're the North American family favorite. Stolze leads the charge on Cassie, followed up by Wardoom on Fernando. Dozups brings Ruckus to the table. Smidgen on Grover, and Cuss Cutie eyes the skies as Drogo's a bit of a switch up there as Cuss is normally the primary support player, but immediately First Blood goes through to Wardoom, and Smidgen picks up Flame Zero as well. Skullers can return 1, but they're stuck in Ice Block, and they are shut down. Match point, sweep the board almost entirely, and take 33% and rising on the first objective of this game 1.
Was that 4v5? I saw Stolze go to the point. Was he even there?
I don't know at this point.
I mean, man, like just the absolutely dynamite play from match point, asserting their dominance immediately. And now, you know, Black Dragons, they have to respond. They have to put up a fight here, but I think it's going to be very difficult with the way match point is already playing.
Smidgen very low on HP as Grovo. Ooh, almost about to get shut down. Gets that burst heal off and will stay alive. Dozups frontlining with Ruckus. Will clean up Makoa in combination with Stolze, and the kills just keep on coming through for the team in red. Stolze picks up the delayed double kill, and now look at Wardoom's positioning, playing the front line of Fernando, getting ready to force enemies of Black Dragons back inside their spawn as the payload will advance.
I love the way Cuss is laying down that suppressing fire to keep Black Dragons up there and in that vantage point, just sort of blocked in, but Cuss will fall. Stolze, though, he's gonna fall as well. Skullist could create an opportunity for Black Dragons to hold it right here.
Skullist did have to retreat right there, but no, they come straight back in. 2 down already. Skullist looking to turn their sights on the Ruckus, who's still trying to backdoor the payload. They will pick up Dozups. No, Pings gets them with Shaolin, and Black Dragons have made their stand versus the overwhelming force that is match point and hold strong. 1 minute and 26 seconds left blocked on the payload push.
Skullis does fall, though, outflanked and completely taken down by Matchpoint, who do know how to deal with Eevee. Up in the air is Drogo's, getting that height advantage to aim down, and as the Hexafire comes through, Black Dragons are all pushed back.
And they're looking for somebody, anybody. Dozops tries to find damage. Skullis is actually contesting an ice block behind, though. Misses out so much of that damage and has bought time for their team's respawns to come back through. But meanwhile, Stolzy is sitting up above the spawn, just contesting, just pushing players back. Barrack tries to rocket boots in. It's on contest, but Stolzy takes down Shaolin. Double kill for Stolzy, the playmaker. And he pushes the payload through to conversion. 2-0 for match point.
That's right, 2-0 for match point is going to be a great way to start off the series. And that's exactly what they want. They have tested Black Dragons, and I think they are going to feel confident moving forward. I mean, just from that first fight, man, it was so brutal.
And what seemed to happen is that Matchpoint go, okay, we're going to test the waters here. We're going to see how hard we can push and see if Black Dragons bend or break. And Black Dragons didn't withdraw as they needed to. When Matchpoint comes at you with a hammer, you've got to either get out of the way or you've got to kind of pull back and then springboard directly back into them to kind of meet force with force. And I just don't think they appear to have the coordination to be able to do that.
Yeah, man, I don't know, maybe. I think Black Dragons is capable of going head-to-head with Matchpoint, but they've got to use their strengths. And I think it's Skullis. He's the real deal, man. He's finding kills in what I think otherwise would be a very difficult match. And I love the way he's doing that. So they got to leverage his raw skill in this set.
Not just the kills, though, which Skullis was finding. Objective contest was very important just to slow down that last payload push. But it wasn't quite enough. Now, as we will be transitioning shortly through to the second round of the game, Matchpoint up 2 points to 0 currently. Black Dragons need to find a way back in.
That's right. So Black Dragons, man, what are they looking for here? You know, you mentioned Grover is pretty good against Hi-Rez because you wait for the debuff to fall off and then you use your healing. But I don't know. I think Black Dragons really, it's not about the items as much. They're going to help here as they start to shut down that healing, start to do more damage to the shields. But I think the big thing really is just moving around the map in the right way to make sure that they just don't have to take that head-to-head brute force play from Matchpoint.
So one thing that we haven't really discussed so far, which is important to touch on, is that you said utilize mobility, move around the map. Skullis on Eevee has been doing a great job at that so far with their Eevee's blink ability and her saw. However, we got to tie in the fact that Grover can throw that crippling throw at Eevee just as she comes out of Ice Block and prevent her potentially from getting an escape. So you've got to be very careful with positioning. Although you'd think Eevee would win in a fight versus Grover, do you want to go near them if there's so much other pressure to lock you down?
That's right. Grover's crippling throw can be deadly to Eevee. She relies on her mobility to survive, and Grover can just shut it down completely when he hits that axe that removes her ability to use those movement abilities. The thing is, though, it's all about timing, right? Coming out of that ice block, you need to make sure that Eevee is getting locked down. It's so critical because otherwise she's going to fly away, she's going to heal up, and she'll be right back again.
She'll come back in, she'll drop the Ice Storm, and that's the kind of coordinated ultimate usage that you want to be able to burst down a team like Matchpoint. Although when you look at Matchpoint, they've got so much defense that they can fall back on and rely on. You've got Fernando's shield, you've got the emitter coming through from Ruckus, and you've got Grover with their big AoE burst heal all the while. And this does tie in a little bit at least to itemization here. We talked about Cauterize and the anti-heal properties of that earlier, but when you're dealing with Fernando's big HP shield, that towering barricade, as well as Ruckus's emitter, are we looking for any key Wrecker pickups here to maybe help break through that?
Man, I don't know. The thing about Ruckus that makes him so strong is that Wrecker doesn't really do that much against him. You're going to break through his personal shield faster, and that's really nice. That's really helpful for killing him. But one of his huge strengths is Repulsor Field. Reduce the damage that everyone around you takes. Wrecker doesn't do anything against that. So Repulsor Field in combination with Grover's healing when not in check from Cauterize, I mean, you can make your entire team very tanky.
Absolutely. Whirlwind comes into play as well. Grover's ultimate, your team just won't die. But with mentioning that, there is no counterplay from Wrecker to Repulsor Field. How exactly do Black Dragons want to play around that when it is active?
I think what it comes down to, right, is just not getting caught out of position or baited by the Repulsor Field. and then eliminating everyone around Ruckus, because he is damage. He doesn't really have peel. You press Repulsor Field, that's it.
Yeah.
You've helped your team, you've done your job, and now you just try and shoot people. So you kill everyone around him, he's got very low mobility, then you just kill him because he's a sitting duck. But, you know, the thing I want to focus on here, in that first round, we saw Stolzy playing with a lot of composure. What we didn't see is Stolzy flexing his muscles.
Okay.
And I want to see that as we go into the set. I want to see him warming up. Matchpoint is playing a double header, and in their next match, they're going to be going up against QG,
okay,
who are 1-1 and warmed up, and they get better every game, right? So I think this needs to be an opportunity for Matchpoint to just really show off their raw skill.
Yeah, they're going to look to dip their toes in the water maybe this game and get wound up. We know that Stolzy is a fantastic DPS player, utilizes most champions actually in the game to be able to do so, although heavily known or heavily favoring Androxus. Speaking of which, no Androxus play being seen right now. Do you find that strange, or are we starting to see a shift away from Androxus in the current champion meta?
You know, it's hard to say as we're going into this tournament, right? We've seen some constant picks. The tank's very common, which is not a surprise. Yang, Maldamba, now Grover showing up. Drogos has been a little bit of a sleeper, and Droxus has been a little bit of a sleeper, but maybe they'll come back later. We just have to see, right? Because I think over today and tomorrow, we're going to see what these teams are doing. We're going to see what they're playing. I think there are a lot of viable options right now for Paladins.
Well, what certainly hasn't been a sleeper, there's two champions that come to mind so far. If we take away the frontliners, it's going to be Cassie and Charlene, which we've seen pretty much every game so far. People just love them for their confirmable damage over long distances. And despite them both having bows, Cassie now with a crossbow with their recent OB40 remodel, I mean, Charlene, they both play quite differently, but they both deliver the same kind of damage.
That's right. So they do have a different lean, though, right? Like, Shaolin is more medium to long range, whereas Cassie's more medium to short. Cassie's got higher mobility, whereas Shaolin has more control and more damage. With that planted, he can just blast through whatever is in front of him, which is very, very powerful when you're looking up against a strong tank line or, you know, whatever you might want to cut through.
Especially because it can be augmented by Oreka. But you touched on Cassie's mobility there. We saw Stolzy make a couple of hot plays for a double kill earlier in the previous round, where he was dodge rolling all around, resetting the cooldown of dodge roll. And this can bring us forwards to one of the important elements of Paladins, which we don't touch on too much during the cast. There's itemization and everything which we like to focus on, but loadouts. Stolzy will be using a very specific Cassie loadout, likely utilizing the card in that, which is known as Incitement. So why don't you take me through what he's going to be doing with that?
That's right. So Incitement is a critical card for Cassie. After she uses dodge roll, she gets additional damage on her next shot. Incitement enhances that, and if that shot hits, you're also going to reduce the cooldown of dodge roll. If you get some of your itemization online for Chronos, which in a competitive match is it's very greedy.
It's a luxury. It's expensive, right? It's 400 credits at base instead of 300, which we see from
You probably want rank 2, so that's another 800. So 1,200 credits, that's a lot. But then you can get a 100% reset when you dodge roll and hit your shot. So you can just roll, shoot, roll, shoot, roll, shoot, roll, shoot. And you can just roll your way through an entire team fight non-stop, which is exactly what a playmaker like Stolzy wants to do. And it's exactly what makes this champion so dynamic.
Whereas on the other side of the spectrum, Charlene, a lot less mobility, playing more from range. We saw good utilization of Heat Haze and Withdraw, however, in previous games today, where Charlene would pop into their stealth from Heat Haze and just be completely impossible to shut down because players didn't know where they were. There's a little bit of counterplay to that with some of those illusions popping up every time you fire, but still, he is hard to pin down. And now, is there anybody from Matchpoint that's going to be looking to directly target a Charlene on the enemy team, do you think?
I mean, it really comes down to Skellist on his absolutely amazing Eevee.
Okay.
I still haven't seen it taken away from him, and I want to see what he's going to play if he doesn't get Eevee, for sure. But, dude, he's really good, right? And he's so mobile. He hits the shots at short range and at long range, which is very hard to do on Eevee.
Yes.
I love the way he positions. I love the way he moves. And if we're going to see Black Dragons win, it's going to be because Skullist comes up huge.
Absolutely. I mean, they're the playmaker for Black Dragons right now. They have to come off huge. And one thing I love about Sculla's playstyle on Eevee is that Eevee, as a projectile projectile shooting champion, one of the things she actually has within her kit is she has jump shot inaccuracy. So when you're up in the air as Eevee, when she fires, your reticle bloom will increase, and you don't fire with 100% accuracy like you do when you're on the ground. Now, watching the last set of games, we noticed when Scullas go in, they either blink above people and fire straight down, where they're pretty much guaranteed a shot, or they'll hit the ground, wait for that accuracy to come back to 100%, and then fire. So they're very precise with their aim, and I think that's going to lend towards them being able to take down some priority targets on the side of match point.
That's right, and those priority targets, really, the biggest one is the Shaolin. If you want to kill Stolzy on Cassie, you're going to have to fight him head-to-head, and that's a match that he can certainly win if he hits his shots, which he can certainly do. So it's going to be an outplay from Scullist every time Stolzy dies in that 1v1.
Now, speaking of which, though, if we're going to talk about outplaying Cassie, there is the opportunity for Eevee to look to use a solo Ice Storm ultimate in this situation. Eevee's ultimate, of course, applies a cripple in a wide AoE radius, and with that cripple, Cassie can't ninja away and dodge roll anymore.
That's right. The big thing is, without blast shields, Cassie is going to die in 2 shots from Eevee. If you blink in and you land the first shot, which is very possible because Eevee, if she knows where you are, has a lot of options to get to you, all you need is that Ice Storm to get a single hit, you're crippled, you can't dodge, and it's the next shot, you're dead. So when it comes down to it, Scullist can kill Stolzy if he absolutely needs to, but it's going to come at a cost, as that ultimate is also very good at setting up his team.
Right, it's the setup ultimate. It's the cripple. You have everybody stacked up on an objective. You throw it down, lock them all down, got a victor on your team. That's when you want to use Barrage, because nobody can run away. But if we're talking ultimate equity, is it more valuable to try and set up a teamfight ultimate when you're playing at a bit of a disadvantage if match point are holding the fort down with Ruckus with the Repulsor Field? Or is there going to be more value out of just using a solo ultimate in an environment like this where you want to shut down the primary playmaker, primary carry of one of the toughest teams to beat?
You know, both of those sound pretty good to me if they work, and I think it's going to come down to the decision-making from Scullist to see what he thinks he can do, what he thinks his team can get away with. Now, granted, the solo kill is a lot easier, doesn't require coordination, so that's very helpful. On the other hand, wiping a team using your ultimates is exactly what you want to do in Paladins, especially at the start of the round. It's so critical to get that point time on the objective, and let's talk about this a little bit, right? Teams are going to look to push forward and keep with 4 members and keep 1 person on the point to build up that capture percentage.
Yeah, that's very valuable as well. What we often talk about is some teams, when they play around the objective fight, especially if you have a Ruckus who has damage mitigation on the objective, is you'll send one off to the fight, you'll fight around the surrounding area, but all the while you're sort of trickle capturing and pushing yourself closer and closer towards victory. Paladins being an objective game, not a team deathmatch mode, despite what we're seeing coming out of match point with their brawling playstyle. They do very much keep that in mind. They send that one player, as you said, towards the objective, and that provides an opportunity for the team who is still fighting 5v4 to either capitalize on the team fight or go towards the objective. But where's the split there? Where does it come? At what point are you forced towards that objective?
You know, I think what it comes down to is the question of really how far does the team on the capture point want to zone.
Okay.
If you push too far forward, you're going to put yourself in a disadvantageous position and potentially lose way too many people, right? But if you find the right spot, you can get aggressive, maybe get a kill, that would be nice. And if you die, by the time your opponents reach the capture point and start that fight, you're already halfway back. And that's why zoning is so critical when you're fighting over the capture point in the first half of a round.
And zoning is a little bit of a tricky tactic to actually decide who you send out there. Now, when we talk zoning, we see sometimes your frontliners, your Makoa, your Fernando, push out towards the enemy's spawn to catch the respawns coming through and be a big tanky distraction. At other times we see an Eevee or a Cassie or an Androxus. What's the value of having different classes of champions push out to stall their enemies?
You know, I think there's really 3 key factors in who zones. One is tanks. Tanks are good at it because they're really big, they're really beefy. Sure, they're not mobile, but they're going to buy a lot of time, and it's very hard to just sort of run past them, right? You don't want to do that because you're going to get dismounted.
Run past Makoa, you get pulled straight back in again.
Exactly, and he could do a lot of damage to you if he hits that pull. Then you've got the highly mobile characters like Androxus, like Eevee, like Cassie, and they're just going to move forward. They're going to look for outplays. They're going to look to outflank. They're going to look to waste your time and find picks and kills that they know they can get away with. But on the other side of the coin, there's the question of who do you put on capture point, and for me, I like the really long-range characters.
Oh yeah, now we've often seen, might come as a bit of a surprise, we've seen Charlins there before, we've seen Kinesis on the objective previously when there just are long line of sights directly down the major choke points coming out of spawn from the enemy team, and you can just put your high range characters on, or champions, on the objective, leave them capturing, leave them stacking up points, and they're getting value, they're getting credits from that, they're also popping off shots, dismounting enemies from range. Even Grover works quite well in that environment because Grover has that bonus damage over range, and when you're swinging with Grover from a distance, you are swinging pretty hard.
That's right. We did see Stolzy doing this job the last round, which Cassie is certainly fine at it, but I think Grover is another great candidate. Now, in that case, Grover's a fairly mobile support, so they wanted him to push forward, reinforce the front line, and then fall back if needed, which he can do with his Vine, where he shoots it out, and whatever it hits, it pulls him towards that. He can actually even pull himself to friendly players.
You may have seen I'm thinking about it right now and I'm giggling because of it. You can vine onto a Drogo's in the sky as well.
Yes.
Nobody expects surprise Grover. When they come from the air, they're a tree. They belong on the ground. You know, you see that kind of thing.
Spider tree.
You're rooted with fear.
Stop.
No.
Yeah, so Grover is really a big pick. We've seen him twice so far. And, you know, the other big thing about him is his ultimate Whirlwind, which is a great way to keep your team alive, especially when you've got a lot of frontline. It's a massive amount of healing each second for a short duration that's going to keep everyone topped off over and over. And even with Cauterize 2, it's more than enough healing to keep your team alive, which is so valuable.
Absolutely, but Cauterize 3, when that starts to come online, I think we start to see a bit of a different story. So
that's right.
Banking on that, with Matchpoint utilizing this sustain from Grover, they're playing, to me, what appears to be a bit of a short game. They want to win hard and fast with their team composition before all of these counter itemizations come through for Black Dragons, whereas Black Dragons, with all of their damage and the setup from Makoa too, do have the potential to take the late game. It's really down to whether Matchpoint is going to let them get to that state.
That's right, but if Matchpoint does reach the late game, they are also going to have itemization to deal with Black Dragons.
Okay.
They've got Cauterize to shut down the Ying and not worry about her heals. And you know, the nice thing about Groverall is it's so much healing that even with Cauterize 3, even reducing healing by 90%, you can still feel the effect of Whirlwind. It's not much, but it reduces the ultimate to about the strength of like a normal heal.
So I feel like there's a lot to counter for Black Dragons to Matchpoint, but you raised the idea of Matchpoint also getting their late game itemization on. We haven't talked a great deal about utility items in game so far,
sure,
with the exception of Chronos, which we mentioned is cooldown reduction. What other opportunities does Matchpoint have here to really pick up some items that might augment the aggressive nature of their playstyle?
Man, I think my favorite overall is Master Riding, which increases your mount speed. Now, I love this item for two reasons. One, you get to ride around on a faster horse, which is just fun. And what's cool is there are a few places where you can make some jumps that speed you up, or, you know, some cool little tricks because your horse is faster and you're moving faster, making cool jumps, right? The other thing, though, is you can start to play a little more reckless, right? Because when you die, you're running back faster, you're pushing more aggressively. It's great when you're pushing the payload forward. So I love Master Riding on characters like tanks or characters like flankers that just are going to go into the fight, go ham, get a kill, and then die.
So you don't have to use your movement ability to engage if by the time that the enemy gets to the objective, you're already behind them. I really do like that. One of my favorites, however, is gonna be, well, I'm gonna say I'm a fan of morale boost over Master Riding personally. Nimble, we'll come to that a little bit later. I do like the quick feet, but I am, you know, I'm all aim, no brain, Andro main here, and having the opportunity with morale boost to get your ultimate online faster can be so pivotal in an engagement. If you can charge it for twice in the same team fight, ooh, that's devastating.
Sure, having your ultimate up is absolutely critical in a Paladins team fight, especially because there are certain ultimates that charge slower than others. When you charge your ultimate, you're charging it by doing damage. Some characters, like Meldamba, they would charge their ultimate fairly quickly if they were doing damage the whole time, but they're support, they're close range, so it's hard to find those shots and it's hard to build up that charge. Other ultimates, like Fernando's Immortal, they just charge slower.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be key. when you're using these more powerful ultimates, if you want to get them online faster, use them more quickly and start rotating those ultimates in the team fights to keep up the pressure, you're going to want Master Riding. And to some extent, I think Master Riding is great when multiple players from your team have it.
Fair enough indeed. Now, one item, the last one in this utility category, we don't see picked up a great deal, is going to be Nimble. We've seen a few players like to elect maybe going into it on Cassie instead of Kronos, and can you tell me why that might be?
Nimble is a card that increases your base movement speed. So if you don't have great options in your loadout to increase your movement speed when you want to, it could be something that could be really good for you, right? Personally, I like it on a character like Fernando, where I'm naturally slow, but I deal a lot of damage to people who are next to me. So if I'm moving faster, then I'm going to keep them next to me for longer, and I can really get those kills and clean up those fights. Nimble can be very powerful, and it's also unexpected. You're moving faster. People might not be ready for that.
They certainly are. And Flank Nando coming up from behind, utilizing maybe a loadout which has movement speed cards in as well. So they throw out the fireball, confirm damage, they move faster for a limited period of time. We should just clarify as well, with movement speed in Paladins, the highest bonus is the one which takes effect, so that doesn't stack with Nimble. But you'll still have a Fernando charging into your backline. It's a very scary thing to deal with, and actually coming back all the way around. That's what Matchpoint opened up with, the first capture objective of this game.
That's right, Matchpoint just charging right in to start the fight head-to-head, and it was an absolute clean sweep. They did very well up against Black Dragons in that head-to-head because there wasn't enough time, there wasn't enough skirmishing for Skullis to really make that Eevee work. The fight was just over immediately.
Well, Eevee's one of those champions that works very well at wearing down your enemies rather than diving in, dealing massive burst AoE damage at once. That's more Drogo's capability. So I got to ask you, going into future rounds, we saw the kind of positioning and pathing that Matchpoint like to take. What can Black Dragons do to avoid that kind of avoid that kind of scenario coming up again in the future?
You know, that's a pretty difficult question. I think it's going to be more on them to answer than me, but I think what they have to do, the end result, is that they have to get the ball back in their court. They have to play in such a way that allows Skullis to take advantage of his extreme skill with Eevee. So they have to find those skirmishes, and maybe that's something that they need a different draft for. I don't know. But I want to see what they can do when they go up against Matchpoint again.
We already mentioned then Skullis looking on Eevee to take out Stolzy, take out a primary source of damage. Now, is there anybody else which you might see Matchpoint looking to take down, or excuse me, Skullis looking to take down on Matchpoint? Any other priority picks?
You know, I think it's going to come down for the opportunities. He's going to go for whoever he can, and we're going to head back into the game in just a moment here. Just so you guys know, due to technical difficulties, we did have to remake this game. So it is going to start again 0-0. Black Dragons on the blue team, Flamzito, Butter, Skullis, Pings, and Bizka playing the exact same picks on the exact same map.
And of course, Matchpoint, you've already heard their names once today. They'll be playing with Dozups on Rocker, Stolzy on Cassie, Smidgen on Grover, Cutie on that Drogus, Wardoom, rounding things out on Fernando. And, well, Matchpoint, they're taking the exact same path they did before, but Black Dragons were waiting for them this time.
That's right, and Black Dragons are trying to hold the front line. Skullis does find a kill onto Stolzy, which I was not expecting, but I also wasn't expecting Smidgen to pick up too. Skullis is still in this fight, but he's one of the only players there, and I think he's just going to go down facing a 1v4.
Skullis just has to get out of the area at this point, wait for the respawns of Black Dragons to come through, and then look to re-engage, but Stolzy's looking to make that difficult. Where's Cutie? Already zoning into the enemy spawn. They've all run straight past you, and a skirmish is breaking out around the right side, perspectively, of the Serpent Beach map.
And watch Stolzy here just hitting shot after shot as he finds good positioning behind his front line. Pings is trying to get some shots in, but he can't find the kill. Stolzy will fall, though, as Flamzito comes around the left side, and Black Dragons move into the point. 96% for Matchpoint, so they have to stay aggressive.
We're in overtime. We're in Grover time. Dozup Snow has a double kill, and that will be Matchpoint taking the first capture objective of this game. Oh,
wow.
Cutie following up a rocket direct direct impact with a fire spit opens things up, and the payload push will begin here.
And that's the mechanics we expect to see from Matchpoint, because he did get caught out, did not hear the footsteps around the side, and he will die in that 1v2 as Flamzito opened up with the stun.
But speaking of opening up, Stolzy has got round behind everybody as Cassie. Grover goes up, Grover goes down, and Skullis gets taken out by Dozups, keeping the Cassie carry of Stolzy alive for the time being. Payload over halfway, pushed at 1 minute and 50 seconds left on the clock. This is another great look for Matchpoint. Black Dragons, they've got a mounted defense here.
Yeah, but they might not be able to as Pings goes down. Dozups finds Bizka as well. Stolzy is low. He finds a critical shot onto Skullis, who is very low health inside that ice block, and does fall to Smidgen with a well-timed axe. Now Dozups, he's going to get this kill on Flamzito. The question is when, and jumping onto that rock will give him the vantage point that he needs. Matchpoint is so close to converting and giving another 2-0 lead.
Xafire has been popped by Dozups. He pulls through a triple kill. Dragon Punch channel 2. He's coming in. Drogo's looking for the EV and ice block, but it doesn't matter. Dozups, delayed quadra kill right there. Pushes through the conversion. Matchpoint 2-0 on the scoreboard.
And yet again, we see a Ruckus on top of net worth. He's doing so much damage, he's getting so many kills, and he's standing on the objective. Frontliners gain more credits for standing on the point, and Dozups is going to convert that into Wrecker 2, which is going to allow him to absolutely cut through the shields from Makoa and Barrick, which are weaker than Fernando's.
They certainly are, and Cuss Cutie as well with Wrecker 2, dealing massive damage per rocket. Impact is going to be huge. Take a look at the healing stat on screen for the time being, however, and you can see that Smidgen currently on Grover is well leading those charts. But enough of that, back to the objective. Dozups making a beeline for the capture, but runs straight past it. There's a backline assassination going, and it's not looking good for Black Dragons.
Matchpoint clearly prioritizing the high ground, and Cuss is clearly prioritizing this Makoa, but he's going to find himself in a bad spot with a great stun. Flamzito has excellent aim on that Maldamba, and he will prove it as he does damage to Smidgen. An excellent Dread Serpent will help clean up those kills, but it looks like Skullis is not able to confirm them just yet, and we actually have a player pause coming in by Stolzy.
Look at that, picture perfect on screen. Smidgen about to be assassinated, and Skullis starting to find the picks, which they really need to get this ball rolling. We've seen Stolzy picked off several times, but Smidgen is yet to die. Wardoom is yet to die for Matchpoint, as well as Dozups. These tanks, these frontliners are just staying alive, and there seems to be nobody that can do any more than just tickle them from the side of Black Dragons.
You know, real quick, I wanna congratulate you on a point well made earlier. You mentioned EVs go up and come down to guarantee those shots, and that's exactly what we saw Skullis doing as that pause hit. So he's gonna drop, and he, in all likelihood, is going to get that kill on a Smidgen, who I think is, you know, waiting in fear. I think he knows what's gonna happen here.
I gotta ask you, you're a designer. Can we get an Eevee Apple skin at all? You know, like gravity dropping? The EVs do a lot of that.
You know, maybe an Apple gun. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll talk to the boys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Fantastic. Right now on your screens, we do have the players of Matchpoint just working through a technical issue whilst we do get ourselves back into the game. Matchpoint looking very strong, coming off of a 2-0 conversion. Black Dragons have an opportunity here to capitalize once they do take down Smidgen. And you've only got a couple of frontliners left. Who are you looking to make the pick onto here?
Man, I don't know. I don't think you can pick off Ruckus. Like, I don't know if that's physically possible. He does have relatively small health for a frontliner, but Ruckus has been so strong in this tournament so far, and let's see what he can do.
Oh, hello. We've come back into game, and oh my goodness, Pings from Black Dragons is about to be taken down. The respawn from Stolzy seems to have saved everything from Matchpoint, but 50% on cap gain for Black Dragons. They've taken an advantage and a lead here, and if they can get out of base without being dismounted and without being zoned out too hard by Matchpoint, I can see them really bring themselves back into this fight.
Speaking of zoning, an excellent fire spit shot is going to drop Barrick a little low. He is by far the squishiest tank and has a lot of trouble getting into position. Pings out of position will fall. This Makoa in trouble as well, but he knows he has to make it to the capture point, and he knows he's not going to be able to make it there. 96%. and it looks like Match Point will take this one.
Oh, as well, Smidgen there, saved on Grover by Stolzy, the Cassie carry coming back through, and you're sitting at a, oh, Maldama, that's not quite where you want to be there. Impaler arrow onto Cutie could pull up a kill, but check out the defensive play from Wardoom's Fernando that came straight up, excuse me. We're looking at Wardoom just popping the shield and keeping his team safe after that Impale hit.
That's right, Wardoom is a very strong defensive player, but Stolzy is a very strong aggressive player, rolling out of position. An excellent blast shot burst onto Skullus. He is pulled, but he is not killed as his support, Smidgen, will heal him up just in time. Barrack waiting in this room. He actually might get away with it.
He's been spotted out now. Barricade has gone down, running around the outside. Stolzy prioritizes turrets and Dozups takes down Butter. And you mentioned time. Time is now of the essence for Black Dragons, who are looking down the barrel of a 4-0 sweep in game one of this best-of-5 set versus Matchpoint. They've got a amount of defense here. The Ice Storm has gone down. We've seen one kill capitalized as Smidgen does full on Grover. No more healing for Matchpoint, and they are starting to fall. But where's Wardoom? He's in the back of this fight, just disrupting and buying time for his team, but will be forced to retreat here, and Black Dragons have pulled some of the pressure away from themselves.
Did you see it? For a moment there was an opening in Match Point's formation. There was an opening in their defenses, and the moment they were vulnerable, Black Dragons pounced and capitalized. It was an amazing punish, and they might be able to hold here to look for the 3-1, but that will be a difficult road to recovery.
Oh
Ruckus
no,
with the
especially
Hexafire.
as you said, Ruckus round the corner, drops the damage from the ultimate, but Butter with a double kill so far on the Barrack, tries to lock things down. Dragon Punch comes in from Cutie. Your sight fails you, no! Cuss spies straight through that heat haze, double kill for the Drogos player in the skies, trying to find the triple. Ancient Rage now used safely by Makoa, because it is not that Dragon Punch counter ultimate, but they're getting blasted down, whittled down, ripped and torn through by Ruckus, and are forced to retreat as Matchpoint just advance unstoppable.
Man, watch the way Dozups is tracking. He is all about the heads. This headhunter is pushing forward with the payload cart, will find the kill onto Pings. And, I mean, is he the carry? I'm getting confused here, right? This Ruckus is so impactful.
I feel like at this point we've had Smidgen on Grover do as much work as some of the carries have as well. Whirlwind comes out in response to Dome Shield, double kill for Dozups again, taken down at the last second. We're in overtime right now. Matchpoint might be held at bay. Disengage is good, but the conversion push isn't coming through. Makoa does fall. Stolzy and Cutie clean up. Can they hold here? All Black Dragons secure it. Pings takes down Stolzy, Cuss being forced out, and we are looking at a really long overtime.
It is incredibly long, but the Ruckus is back. Fernando there to hold the front line on Wardoom while Grover's healing up. Dozups gets the triple. He's looking for more and cannot quite get the quadra.
It's gonna be, oh, up in the sky, delayed quadra in mid shield comes out. It's a double kill after a triple kill, delayed pentakill, and Matchpoint pushed through. 4-0 conversion, game one, GG.
The moment you doubt Dozups, he goes in huge. This Ruckus is unstoppable because it's just all aim, right? He's like, okay, where's the right spot for me to stand? I'm standing in the right spot. Check that off the list. Then he just aims and he just kills.
That's it?
Yeah.
You press your buttons on cooldown. It's Q, E, right click. Yeah, we're fine. Here we go.
Yeah, that's right. And then it's just aim, and he's hitting heads non-stop. Excellent play from Dozups, maximizing the DPS on that Ruckus and turning what is a frontline tank into possibly the scariest damage dealer on this team.
Well, you did mention earlier, is Dozups the carry? Well, I think we've got to say yes, because Dozups is famed for two champions specifically on Matchpoint, now playing a lot more Ruckus, which he started to play as we have seen that brought back into the meta, but he's played a lot of Cassie at a very high level, as well as a lot of Bomb King, and has been the primary carry for his team, despite Stolzy's grandeur maybe overshadowing that at times for a long, long time. But we are now back with the scoreboard. Matchpoint dominating 4-0 victory. What do the stats tell us, Kret?
Man, I think it's Dozups dominating. 41 eliminations, 59,000 damage. He had some shielding there too. That's nice. Top objective time in the game. The dude is just standing on the point, standing on the payload, and shooting all the dudes. And the problem for Black Dragons, who I think the way they're playing, they are actually a good match for Matchpoint, right? They're very skilled players, but Their best player is Skullist. We've seen that. And Eevee can't deal with Ruckus.
No, she can't. She's not the best player to deal with him. And if you're playing an Eevee and you're going for the assassination playstyle, then you're not going to be going into necessarily Wrecker to try and have that bonus damage to shields to maybe assassinate a Ruckus. You're going to be looking for Cauterize or damage reduction because Eevee has a low HP pool, and that's not where it's best utilized. And I do actually feel like maybe it was the draft which Black Dragons had slipped on slightly here, letting that very tanky frontline through of Ruckus and Fernando, supplemented by Grover. I just felt like Black Dragons needed more damage on somebody, and it's got to come from one of their frontliners here. But Barrack just can't do that if their turrets aren't established. And Makoa, well, they rely on their Dredge Anchor so much.
You know, it's still so crazy to me, right? You see Makoa such a strong early pick, Fernando a strong early pick, but the Ruckus is the one that's carrying the game. So much impact coming in from Doseups. Really just cannot say enough about that. I do think Skullist could deal with him if he focused on it. But then Stolzy's going to carry.
Right, and you've got to shut down that Cassie, because if you don't keep a lid on them, they will go off like a pot full of popcorn and blast you off to space. But another stat which we can pay attention to here is let's have a look at the healing done by both teams. Maldamba, reputed to be the best healer in-game by a lot of competitive players, sitting at 12,000 healing. Smidgen on Grover, who was bottom the pile for a very long time at 42,000, actually higher healing than 3 members' damage dealt on the side of Black Dragons.
We've seen Flamzito play a healer in 3 of his 4 appearances so far, and consistently he is healing for less than his opponents. But I don't think he's a bad player, right? I think he's doing stuff right. He's just focusing on a different aspect of Maldamba. He's looking for the stuns, and he found some great ones that game. He's looking for the Dread Serpent, and he found some great ones that game. So he's being more aggressive, and his team just... I don't think they need to rely on the healing. I think that's just not what they're focused on. Granted, I do want to see what a full focused healer would do for this Black Dragons lineup. I mean, maybe Skullist would just be able to carry even harder.
So here's how it feels to me. You're playing the reload stun Maldamba. You can capitalize on the pulls from Dredge Anchor very well, but if you're playing that into a composition where you who are you going to pull here? You're going to pull Grover, who can vine away.
I actually think Ruckus is a good target, right? You pull him off the objective. He can't use Repulsor Field. He's immobile. If you stun him, he's going to have a hard time responding to it. Sure, he's got advance to move a little bit. And then with the Eevee, right, if she does have Wrecker, let's say someone else has Cauterize, the way Wrecker works is if you hit a shield and you do more damage than the shield has, the Wrecker damage is what goes into the shield, and your normal damage overflows into their health bar, which is very important for a character like Eevee that does so much damage.
They have, so much burst potential coming out of those AoE shots, especially when confirmed on a direct impact. So there is potential. I feel like Black Dragons had the potential to play around that. However, that's enough of the stats for the time being. We won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's go ahead and take a look at the map draft coming up for game number 2. It's Jaguar Falls.
Jaguar Falls, indeed. God, I love the way you say that. And I can't wait to see what this map is going to do, because yet again, it's balanced. Matchpoint aren't revealing anything here, right? It's like, okay, they're revealing Ruckus. That's already been shown in this tournament. We've seen huge Ruckus play from everyone who's played so far.
They've played Grover, which is a bit of a wild card, but we did see it in a
we've seen that before, too.
Okay,
there's nothing new here, right? Maybe people just in scrims, they found, oh, hey, Ruckus is working really well, or Grover's working really well. I don't think we're seeing any pocket picks. I don't think we're going to see any special strats, because this is one of the 2 most generic maps when it comes to competitive play. It's well balanced. You fight the point, then you push the cart, and that's what Matchpoint are going to try to do when they look to draft their champions.
You mentioned Ruckus earlier. That should be a highly contested pick on the very compact map of Jaguar Falls. Let's head through to our champion draft screen to see if that is picked up first. Matchpoint, first pick on the board. Who are they going to go in for? Oh,
Cassie prioritizing the amazing playmaker for their amazing playmaker. I don't mind this one bit, and I think they still want to just let Black Dragons have whatever they want, because I think Matchpoint, man, I think they're kind of warming up, and I don't think it's BM. I think they think Black Dragons are just good, and they want to play them at their best.
So Makoa and Fernando locked in so far for Black Dragons, taking the double frontliner, which I do appreciate. Not the Barrack we saw last game, so maybe some more damage or utility potential coming out of that Fernando, but Matchpoint respond with Maldamba and Ruckus, the pick which we were waiting for, coming in third.
You know, I was really excited to talk about this Maldamba, and then the Ruckus shows up, and I'm going to talk about that because I love it. Dozups was so good last game. I can't stop singing his praises, and you don't want to hear my singing voice, by the way.
Oh,
but the Maldamba's interesting, too, because you've been singing his praises, and Cuss is a great player. He's a great noodle tosser, serving up those ramen noodles and stunning the enemy team.
I'd consider Cuss's Maldamba absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous. Maldamba is just
gorgeous. Good, like the
oh,
god.
Gorgeous, because he
I'm
throws
making
a gourd.
Look, I'm European, I'm making a bad pun, okay?
That was
but let's
great.
finish off the draft for the time being. Charlotte and Eevee picked up by Black Dragons, giving Skullis to Eevee once again is a very wise decision. And Drogus picked up in response for Matchpoint, and I do like taking away Drogus' primary counter of anti-air potential with Androxus, finishing up with Ying this time. Maybe the Fire and Forget playstyle of Ying is going to suit Black Dragons more and allow them to get more utility out of their support here.
Here's the thing, though. This is a single tank composition from Matchpoint. Ruckus has to hold the front line. Granted, he's going to have healing long range from Maldamba. That helps out a lot, but it's still just him. And Shaolin can do a ton of damage, so we're really going to have to see the tank player from Matchpoint stepping up, playing right. And then there's the question of Wardoom is the tank player. Is Wardoom playing the tank, or is Dozups playing the tank?
Or could go to really anybody at this point. Matchpoint do have a lot of flex potential within their roster. They'll all play a little bit of this, a little bit of that, although I do expect Maldama to be picked up by Cascuti. Androxus also can be used to supplement the lack of frontline that Matchpoint do have. We can't discount the reversal, but there is a lot of counter potential to that again from Black Dragons with Dredge Anchor from Makoa. And talk to me a little bit about that interaction, please.
Right, so Dredge Anchor from Makoa he's all about pulling people out of position. And there is a great ledge to pull people off of. We saw QG use that. So as they head into this game, Black Dragons need to take advantage of the map to pull people out of position, because if they get Ruckus off the map, the tank is gone for free. Advance won't get him back up. He's just gonna be dead. And now Flamzito, Ping, Skullis, Butter, and Bizka are heading back into the fray.
Stolzy, though, is on their signature champion of Androxus for Matchpoint, looking for a flank round on the backside. They're gonna find free damage immediately. One shot into a shield, misses 4 follow-ups. This is unusual. A little bit too used to Cassie, I'd say. But First Blood still goes through to the wild card on the back line as they take down one, shut down by Pings. Eevee, Skullis is in a lot of trouble here, but Dozups comes to the rescue, takes down one, looks for a second kill, gets melted alive by Fernando. Black Dragons come out on top
I
with a
can't
full
believe what
team
I'm
wipe.
seeing. That was absolute domination from Black Dragons. Stolzy came around the side and he missed. He just flat out missed. Wardoom on this Ruckus nowhere near as effective as Dozups, and now Matchpoint have to push in against the 72% Black Dragons.
Now they're trying to take a flank route, and I like this from Matchpoint because they're looking for an avenue towards the objective that isn't being covered, but you got to play into an Eevee, and that's very difficult to do when she can cover so much distance all at once. 99% in favor of Black Dragons. We have hit overtime, but now Stolzy's coming online. 2 kills to their name, 4 in total come through for Matchpoint. Stolzy sitting on a 5 streak, 4-1.
And here comes the zone. Bizka was a little bit too far forward and did take some poke, and Drox is going to hold them back a little bit longer. Matchpoint are now holding the point, and they're going to try and get that to tick up, but is still close, and if they step off for a moment, Black Dragons could certainly capture this one.
And here we go, overtime, but Stolzy comes round from behind again, lands almost all their shots. Ying is very low. Double kill for Stolzy, triple kill for Stolzy, quadra kill, no, shut down is Stolzy, but Wardoom cleans things up, and that will be the full wipe coming through once again for Matchpoint as they close things out. First cap of game 2 goes through to the team in blue.
And the sleeping giant has awakened. I've been waiting for this play from Stolzy. I've been waiting to see the glory in person, and I am not even remotely disappointed. Now pushing forward, Matchpoint are going to get aggressive around this first bend.
Look at that though,
the
the reversal
ultimate
play, that was fantastic. Impaled into a wall as Cutie on Drogo. Stolzy steps up and blocks all the focus fire. Yes, match point are being forced backwards, but without losing players, they're still in a very good place to advance, specifically from Ruckus, who does, in combination with Smidgen, take down the Makoa for Black Dragons. Reversal used again by Stolzy, and the rest of this team now takes their opportunity to clean up.
Stolzy going up above and over the wall does help find a kill for his team. They are pushing in towards the enemy bases. Bizka re-arrives. He's not able to find the pole, actually hitting the wall. And Stolzy, he smells blood. He dashes in but doesn't quite find the kill, though he is not punished. And an excellent Gord will heal him up fairly quickly.
Okay, wasn't expecting the Dragon Punch onto a Ying. That's a little dangerous because her illusions can block the damage, but now Stolzy up in the air again is looking for more, this time finding Focus Fire onto Fernando, getting burst down. They're being shot from behind their shield. They don't know where it's coming from. They're being destroyed here. But now it's all about doze-ups as well on this Cassie as they take down one. Stolzy is killing players almost inside of their spawn from Black Dragons. There is no contest. The payload rolls through. 2-0 conversion for match point.
And here's the thing. That was looking terrible for match point. It was 99% and they had hardly touched it. And Stolzy was like, wait a second. Do you know who I am? Do you know where we are? This is the Paladins Invitational, and I'm gonna take the whole thing. So let's go, buddy. Goes in big with the quadra kill, and now his entire team is on a streak, re-energized by their playmaker, and ready to go into round 2.
However, we can't not talk about the ultimate deficit that match point are currently sitting at, having utilized a lot of them to push that conversion through. All 5 members of Black Dragons here sitting on an available ultimate. That's a huge amount of setup potential coming from Eevee, but there's not a lot of confirmable damage. Who's going to make the plays here?
That's right, but I think Matchpoint is just going to have to go big and make the plays as around the right side, Black Dragons are starting a flank, and the Ice Storm does go down.
It's straight onto Doze-Ups, it's straight onto Wardoom, but Maldamba keeps them alive. Black Dragons are trying to gain some capture control here, and they will succeed. Dread Serpent coming out to help augment that. No, they're being forced away with the fear. Hexafire rips through. Smidgen, Stolzy kills. Wardoom 2 picks one up and looks for blood on Makoa, who pulls in one of the most dangerous champions straight to their face, gets shut down, and another full team wipe for match point.
And Matchpoint has proven that they can play Ruckus more than one way. Doze-Ups hard carrying the game. Wardoom, he's got the second highest kills on his team, sure, but he is definitely supporting and frontlining for his team as Stolzy is going ham. He is 11-2-11. He is alive this game, and he's looking for more, but on the point, Immortal has been dropped, and Wardoom is holding his ground.
Absolutely, you can see Makoa coming back in, though planted is going to be good onto Wardoom, but they're very immobile and do get focused down. Ancient Rage will start swinging, but in the meantime, Stolzy's looking for the support. They can't quite find the kill onto Ying, but they will clean up Skullust on Eevee. Ying too, as Stolzy finds the snapshot, and that is overtime ticking down. Capture 2 of this game leaps match point at match point.
It is currently 3-0, and yet this is the closest game I have seen so far.
Black Dragons, they're putting up a very good fight here, but they don't seem to be able to close out the last few seconds of the objective play, and this is coming back to haunt them. Now they're forced into making a defense where Matchpoint can just elect to use their ultimates like they did in the previous round, and somehow they have to find a way to stabilize.
Skullus taken down by a crack shot. Cuss QT with the double kill, looking and will get the triple. Now pushing forward, he could find the quadra with Dragon's Fury if he wanted. He's looking for it with the rockets, but no, Pings will go down to Stolzy, taking that one away as Matchpoint pushes forward.
And now who can test this? The Cursed Arm is available. Stolzy goes up. He pops the ultimate. He finds the damage onto Makoa, who's forced into a corner with 3 other players from their team. Nowhere left to run. Everybody from Black Dragons is being shut down. Hexafire ripping through, opening up the avenue for conversion, and Makoa is left. A sitting duck behind the payload for a double kill. Respawns too far away. This is rolling in for free. Matchpoint, they're just unstoppable at this point.
Matchpoint looking unstoppable, feeling unstoppable, but Black Dragons have one last shot if they want to hold their ground. Flamzito will fall. Stolzy flanking around the right-hand side to find an angle, and he's looking for the shots, aiming for Fernando and finding the kill. Sees the 2 carries, looking for more, and it looks like Black Dragons are falling fast as Smidgen picks up a triple, and Matchpoint picks up the game.
Maldamba picks up a triple kill?
Smidgen does not mess around, all right?
We saw several Grover double kills. At this point, I'm scared of Smidgen supporting. This is okay, this is a bit of a swap. Smidgen used to play frontliners.
So here, who are the real carries here, right? We've got Dose-Ups, definitely with the Ruckus. We've got Smidgen, definitely with the Grover and the Meldamba.
Just
Stolzy,
pause for a second there.
He's just here for the clutch kills, man.
I never thought I'd hear that phrase. Is the carry Grover?
Grover carries, dude.
Okay, yeah.
All right, he's got an axe.
You must be barking mad.
He chops. Stop it. He's just chopping people down left and right. That Meldamba was insane, and he is a support that can do a lot of damage from up close.
Especially with the Dread Serpent ultimate, which we know can do so much, disrupting a team fight, applying that damage steroid on enemies. It is very valuable, and Gord deals a lot of damage too if you stand on it for too long.
It certainly does. We went into this match, and we were talking about a different Meldamba player, Cuss QT, I believe, but he didn't play it. Now, here's the thing. In your opinion, was Smidgen just as good? Was he better?
I think that Smidgen utilized Meldamba differently. We've previously seen Cuss QT play a lot of reload stun Meldamba looking for the CC lockdown, which is valuable against certain team compositions. Maybe Smidgen holds more value with this solo tank meta, where he wants to be a little bit more aggressive, not try and set up kills, but go for kills himself.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, the killer Meldamba certainly did great work, because then when you're getting kills, you're dealing damage, you're charging up your ultimate, but really, it's just this Ruckus, man, doing so well. Second highest damage. Stolzy did wake up. He got his first place damage back, as is his comfort zone, with the 34 kills, the first place damage. That's what he does.
And noting Smidgen beforehand as well, sitting at only 20 eliminations or no solo kills, which is sort of expected, very low deaths. But the highest objective time in-game overall, that's very impressive coming from the Meldamba, which is absolutely different to what we saw happening with Wardoom on Ruckus previously. Last time it was, we saw different Ruckus players, Dose-Ups coming through, just sitting on the objective. Now Wardoom pushing out, leaving your support on the objective allows them to not just heal from range with Meldamba, but also get a lot of credits.
Yeah, for sure, and those credits help out a lot, as taking that early advantage allows Matchpoint to get a large credit lead. Now, this isn't entirely straightforward here, right? Matchpoint got two captures and 2 conversions, which means that a large portion of those credits were not spent, right? They were just in pocket as they raced back to the payload cart to push it forward. But, man, the thing I want to talk about is Skullist, who just isn't able to find the openings. I don't think it's that he's incapable of doing what he did against QG Reapers here. I don't think that he's outskilled. There's just less openings in the defensive line of Matchpoint.
Matchpoint, they just aren't giving an inch with which Skullist could potentially take a mile as well. I feel like we slept a little bit on pings that last game.
Sure.
Topping the damage charts for their team, doing fantastically with Xiaolin, but they just didn't have enough follow-up. Look, we've got 2 players dealing a wild amount of damage, 35k and 43,000, but the rest of the team is falling heavily behind, and they just can't burst through all of this healing, which Smidgen will be able to output until late game and Cauterize comes on. So I'm sensing that, again, the double frontline for Black Dragons just didn't work out as well as it could have done, and maybe they need to go with just more raw damage to be able to break through all of this.
I don't know, man. Skullist and Pings are just, they're a great 1-2 punch. For me, reminiscent of Stolzy and Dose-Ups, right? Like, Skullist is your big playmaker who's going to go around getting the clutch kills, whereas Dose-Ups maybe a little bit more quiet, but he's doing the damage that counts. Unfortunately, he's not able to find enough, as just the tank line is so strong from Matchpoint. We're going to need to see changes from Black Dragons in this next game, and I wonder what they're going to change up.
Well, first of all, they will have to change up the map. That is very certain. 3 games coming up. We've had Serpent Beach, we've had Jaguar Falls. Now we're sticking with the Temple Isle theme overall.
Yeah, the Tropical Triumvirate.
Right, I love it, I love it. We're going for a vacation on Frog Isle, so talk to me a little bit about this map. What does it bring differently from the previous 2?
Well, it's got frogs, which is a big difference.
Okay.
All right, so you're
okay, so we got serpents on Serpent
serpents.
Beach.
Jaguars.
That's a good dog.
Yeah, it is a good dog.
Okay.
And then we got frogs. So there's definitely different temples on these islands. But the thing about Frog Isle is it's sort of low to the ground. All the structures are low. There are some trees that cover up the sky and cover up those line of sights. But I think this is a great map for a pick like Eevee, where Matchup have showed that they don't really want that. I think it's great here because you can fly above the tree line, get to wherever you want, and then drop down and start attacking.
So considering that now, and considering how effective Skullis has been on Eevee for 2 sets, almost 2 sets in a row now, is this something which Matchpoint might be looking to take away and maybe give that to one of their veteran players like Smidgen, who was renowned for their Eevee player earlier on in the Paladins competitive history?
I mean, I think they certainly could play it. And to an extent, I want to see them play it because I want to see what Skullis does when he doesn't have that Eevee available. But on the other hand, I love watching his Eevee, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to be happy either way.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Man, I don't know. I would like to see Matchpoint put an Eevee in their composition. I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think this is a great opportunity to use it. But part of it is I wonder if they're just waiting for someone that, you know, presents a really good target, right? Maybe a Victor or someone who they think their Eevee could really punish.
Right, we all know about how well Eevee with her high mobility punishes champions with low mobility, such as Victor, such as Kinessa, and the newest champion to the realm, Tyra, as well, who, with their large AoE firebomb, could be a good look to disrupt the double frontline that Matchpoint ran in Game 1 and might elect to run again here on Frog Isle with its very funnel-shaped objective play.
I'm dearly hoping we see a Tyra in this tournament, and if we do, I think it would be a last pick. Speaking of last pick, let's take a look at what these teams are going to select as they move forward in this event to the 3rd game of the best of 5, where Matchpoint up 2-0 can take the entire set.
Matchpoint, they're going to be prioritizing Makoa. Look at the instant lock-in
Changing
there.
it up,
Okay.
and I think they just like the danger zones, right? You can just get pulled off this map.
And there are a few highways as well on this Frog Isle map. So this time, Black Dragons will get Ruckus, will get Fernando if these 2 picks are locked in. So now the tables have turned slightly. Black Dragons are going to utilize what has been so devastating against them, but can they pull it off to the same degree that Matchpoint were able to previously?
Well, I think we're going to learn how a Makoa deals with a Ruckus Fernando.
Okay.
Right? Because we saw the opposite of this before. So either this is a bad matchup for Makoa and Matchpoint have some trouble, or it's something that they know how to deal with and they're going to show everyone what they do here. But we do have the Eevee hover, we do have the lock-in. This is 2 awesome things. 1, I get to see Eevee from Matchpoint. I can't wait. 2, I get to see something different from Skullist, and I can't wait for that. We have Maldamba and Barrack, and I think Skullist is going to be that last pick there because I don't think he's playing any of these.
So far, Black Dragons with Maldamba and Barrack hovered over, are looking at a very tanky setup. They've taken 3 out of all 4 available frontliners and are looking to get on point and stay on point. Matchpoint. Now that's a lot of points. Matchpoint, oh, here we go. They need some kind of point break, and this is where it's going to come from. Doze-ups with the Bomb King, most likely, who is renowned for their play and very good at cracking open those objectives.
Hail to the King, baby, up against the full Death Ball composition. You've got AoE healing from Maldamba and Grover, direct healing from Maldamba, Barrack, Fernando, and Ruckus setting up a very powerful front line. They're going to stand in a pile on the point, and they're going to shoot dudes from the point.
Okay.
Bomb King, he's got to break this up. It's all on this Bomb King player. He's the guy that will win this game for Matchpoint.
And they do have a few different tools available in their kit with which to do so, but we'll have to head into game to find out exactly what Doze-ups is going to do. Join us now for Game 3 of Matchpoint versus Black Dragons. Let's introduce the players for potentially the 3rd and final time. Wardoom starts off for Matchpoint on the top left-hand corner of your UI, playing Makoa. Smidgen on Eevee, as we may have hoped. Doze-ups just cheering from the rooftops as Bomb King cuts Cutie on Eevee, and Stolzy pulling in the Cassie carry to round things out.
On the other side, Black Dragons returning for hopefully not the final time. Pings on Ruckus, Flamzito on Maldamba, Skullist on Grover? What? Butters stashing in his Barrack, and Fernando already dead. Bizka.
First blood going through to Wardoom there, and now with no Fernando shield, everybody disrupted around the objective. Black Dragons are being dismantled. It's like a Lego set that you've thrown through a washing machine here. Wardoom picks up 2, Smidgen and Stolzy pick up the remaining kills, and Doze-ups did a lot for that, but it seemed that that was more Black Dragons just underestimating Matchpoint's ability to capitalize on a little avenue of opening here, and did not give them the berth and respect which they really deserve.
Smidgen going aggressive on that Eevee, but I've got all eyes on the King as round the back he's putting out some good damage, and I think Dosups is getting ready to show just how good he is in this game. The Bomb King sails across the map and finds a kill onto Flamzito.
It's the Poppy Bomb ability now finding direct 6 and a lot of burst AoE damage onto Ruckus as well, but it doesn't matter as in the meantime we have seen Match Point capture the objective 3 times, or rather 3rd time's a charm, and they're looking for conversion again in the base. Will be, well, that's a little odd. It's actually War Doom on Makoa. They've decided to set up camp here and they don't appear to be moving.
They don't appear to be moving at all. I love the positioning of War Doom here. Going to get people from behind, but who will he pull? Stolzy moving around and looking for blood. Dozup's almost going off the map. He's in trouble. The King has fallen, and Stolzy will avenge him. Cuss finding the kill onto Bizka. Stolzy around the back looking for the barrack, but the repulsor field helping out a lot.
And that repulsor field, it just doesn't stop Stolzy from pulling that trigger on the crossbow. It might slow the death, but Barrack with no mobility is left hopping around going, well, this is my fate. This is my life now. Smidgen will be zoning very safe with Ice Block. And look at the situational peel coming through from War Doom as they save their team. Doe cleans up one. King Bomb is available, but it may not even be necessary to convert here with Poppy Bomb.
Yeah, they've got 120, so no time to use ultimates just yet. The payload card is so close, it's inches away. Barrack moving forward, but it's not. Oh, it will go down. Skullist is slain, Butter is slain, and Match Point is up 2-0.
I love what Dozups just try to do at the end there. Utilize Poppy Bomb and its knockback to throw their opponents from around the cart into the air and push the payload through underneath. Now setting up, oh, this is a good one.
Yeah, this is a good little trick here. So those bombs actually sail to near the capture point. He's setting up some traps that very well could get first blood. It has happened. I've seen the GIFs.
Yep, you've seen the, okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. This isn't so simple as peanut butter, but for the time being, 10 seconds left until round number 2 of game number 3. Match Point sitting on all ultimates, only one Hexafire available for Black Dragons. That's a significant advantage going in to this next capture.
It's gonna take a miracle for Black Dragons to hold this capture point here. Looks like the bombs have been spotted. Dozup's moving around, flying through the air, and hail to the King, baby!
Here we go! Dozup finds 2! War Doom takes another one! Stolzy and Smidgen clean up for the full team wipe! That was set up like nothing else we've seen so far today.
And the BM taunts coming out on the point, but
where are the sprays?
They earned it. They did earn this.
Where are the sprays?
Man, I don't know, but pushing forward to zone is Match Point 60%, and it looks like Black Dragons won't be able to find a way back onto the point. Smidgen getting aggressive, Grover going to fall, Dread Serpent is out, and Flamzito's not going to be able to do anything with that ultimate.
You say that though, but Hexafire is back here. Smidgen still though is fragging out, cleans up 2, and is looking for a 3rd, looking for a 4th here. Finds a 3rd kill on a Flamzito, the Maldumba from Black Dragons, and as you said, with overtime ticking down, there is very little the Black Dragons can do to come back into at least this capture, and now must rely on defense, but will they have the opportunity?
Smidgen finding a way in, and he's rewarded big with 2 kills. Now Ruckus in trouble as Smidgen escapes, and the big thing that I love is he's killing turrets. He's looking for those exposed turrets and taking them down in 1 hit.
That's so important as well. You remove those turrets from Barrack, you remove the potential to mark your opponent and deal more weapon damage overall. Barrack is then left with just their barricade and a short-range blunderbuss, and they're forced to flee beyond the, well, just the monumental pressure of Dozups, utilizing Poppy Bomb's air control to go back up and straight down in place. Meanwhile, Smidgen, though, is going home immortal as Match Point look unstoppable here.
The 24th streak continues. No, it will end there. Immortal used to stay alive, but Dozup says, no, I'm gonna clean up this one. 1, 2, buckle my shoe as the Bomb King moves forward, and now Black Dragons coming out from the spawn. They have one last chance if they're gonna defend this, but Match Point up 3-0, up 2-0.
So close, the taunt came out as well, but it wasn't quite the Poppy Bomb we were waiting for. A nice slither brings back the support onto the objective, and now it's all the ultimates coming out of Black Dragons. Dragons. They've got to defend here. They've got to find a way to stay alive. And it looks like they will for the time being. Butter cleans up Warzone, but Stolzy is unchecked on Cassie. They're going to look for the Grove around the outside, find the dodge roll, shots, reset the cooldown, try and outplay this Fernando, but they've been missed and they're being roasted alive, as they will be doing in, or rather by being roasted in Twitch chat in the meanwhile. But also, here we go, Smidgen comes back in, looks for the backdoor play. Are they going to be able to capitalize, or will the respawn proximity be enough?
Uncharacterily missing a shot. Stolzy goes down. Damage on the point. 42 seconds left, but Bomb King is ulting, and Fernando will fall, pushing it in. Match points. Taking the win, taking the set, and moving on to their next game.
They've said it themselves beforehand, and take a look at the players on your screen. The reputed, by their words at least, number one team in the world. And they're playing like it. I think this is important. They put out so much posture, so much bravado, but they've come into this competition, this championship today, with a lot of confidence. And if you're not playing to be the number one team, you're not going to play like the number one team, and that's huge in this environment.
I mean, you can see the confidence in their gameplay too. Stolzy going big, saying, come on, fight me, let's go, fight me. Dozup's on that Bomb King, playing to the character, right? Like he's this big, goofy, pompous king, and I could feel that every time he threw a bomb. He got the kills, and then he dominated his way through the rest of the match. But let's not sleep on Black Dragons here. They're playing another game today. They are down 0-2, so they have to recover if they want any hope of going to the semifinals. And up against D69 is going to be fairly tough.
And I feel like what's really important here is that Black Dragons have now faced a couple of very tough cookie opponents, and they have the opportunity to really learn from this and adapt in a downtime between their sets to come back stronger and look to go home with one victory and some pride for their country. But the scoreboard, I think, right now says it all. Oh my goodness. Match point. That was disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just non-stop damage, non-stop credits, and non-stop kills coming out from match point.
They have less chill than your average Ruckus player.
They do have less chill than your average Ruckus player. That's very true. But man, you know, talking about no chill, Skullist was so good these two sets. The player is just amazing. You know, if they're not able to make the semifinals, and they still do have a shot, right? If they win their next game, 1-2, maybe there's a three-way tie. There's an opportunity there, but it's a long shot. I want to see this guy again, man. He's so good.
I think we will see them again, regardless of what happens in the future. Skullist has proved themselves to be able to battle against giants and to be able to battle against the greats. And with that kind of mindset, that mentality, and now some LAN experience here at the Paladins Invitational at Hi-Rez Expo of 2017, they'll be going home with a lot that they've learned and a great deal which they can teach their teammates too.
Well, let's take a look at where we've been so far. D69 up 1-0, match point up 1-0. QG 1-1 and Black Dragons 0-2. It's been a tumultuous day so far, with QG looking to pick up a victory in their next game up against Match Point. I love watching these QG guys play, but they've got their work cut out for them.
After seeing that set with Match Point, they certainly do. And let's take a look through the remaining matches for today as well. As you said, Match Point will be facing off against Team QG, followed up by District 69 and Black Dragons, closing the day out with Match Point versus District 69, which is one that I think, just in terms of between these two regions, the players and the audiences have been waiting for a long time. But as you said, QG, with their work cut out for them, they've just had the opportunity to see how Matchpoint play. They're warmed up from their earlier sets as well, and they are going to be ready for this. So do you think there's going to be any adaptation which we're seeing coming through into the next set?
You know, I think QG are just going to have to play their hearts out, man. We've seen the mechanics coming out from Knight and coming out from, you know, the other players on the team that have allowed them to be really, really good in these matches. And they're going to need it if they want to get those kills and take down match points. So I can't wait to see this game.
It's going to be a tough cookie to break there, and a tough cookie to crumble. For those of you watching at home, we say thank you, hello from Atlanta, Georgia. And if you are watching, and you should be, on twitch.tv/Paladins Game, boy, do we have a treat for you. We do now have Twitch linking enabled for the Paladins Game channel. So if you want to have a chance at earning some free in-game drops and rewards just by watching the stream here today, then visit hirezstudios.com/
Link.
Link.
And once you get those drops, you can take them in-game to the Paladin store, check out some of the stuff we've got available, like the digital loot pack, where you're going to be able to access quite a few things. You're going to get 3 sprays. You're going to get 2 MVP poses, which coincidentally go for Fernando and Victor, who have limited time skins for the HRX Invitational. Also commemorating your participating in this awesome event, we've got Convention 2017 Ying for you. It's been a ton of fun here, Vox. That's my last cast of the day, but man, it was great watching these games. It was great watching them with you.
It was a really heartwarming moment, but that's not all we have of Paladins and our showcase for Group A today. Coming up next, after the break, will be Matchpoint facing Team QG, who look to take a game, a set of the big ones. Join us very shortly for some more intense Paladins action, and we'll see you in the realm.